So when I first started playing Warhammer, and if we ignore my first and second purchase, I always wanted to play Custodes because of if the Emperor had text-to-speech, but Custodes were kind of busted in 9th edition and I didn't want to be accused of meta chasing. And now we're paying for the sins of the past. You see, in the back of my head, I always knew I would end up getting a Custodes army eventually. Also, if you found this video and know nothing about Warhammer, why don't you subscribe and like the video? It's free. And if you do know about Warhammer and are not subscribed, you should also probably hit that subscribe button. And this isn't a suggestion, by the way. And I'm sure you're asking, new viewer or returning viewer, that should just humor me for a second. What is a Custodes? Custodes, no. TLDR, Custodes are the Emperor's personal guard. They are leaps and bounds ahead of Space Marines in lore, with only about 10,000 of them in existence. Well, there were a few more of them that died recently. They get the best weapons, armor, and war gear, which any Space Marine would dream of getting. So I have about 5,000 points of Custodes, and I started collecting them in June. And in that 5,000 points is a custodian dropship that Twitch and YouTube chat funded, and also those that watch my videos. Thank you, you're all crazy, and I know you all did this because you wanted to see me suffer building this resin brick, and also because blowing out my ears was a lot of fun for you all. Side note, they're going to be Shadow Keepers, and I am aiming to get them painted in time for the Codex. Well, all the infantry and dreadnoughts, since the vehicles are probably going to be a while. And since a lot of you know I have a problem, I will also be going over any units that I have magnetized, so you can too, if you're also as insane as I am. Also, I know the balance status slate is in a month, but I honestly think they're not going to change much. And if they don't, I have a video lined up for how DW can hopefully fix Custodes for the Codex. Anyways, let us begin by going over all of my Custodes that I have and put them into a preliminary tier list with the categories of Rule of Cool, Auto Buy, High Tier, Mid Tier, Low Tier, and Don't Even Bother Tier. So, how about them HQ units? And what Custodes army wouldn't be a Custodes army without Trajan Valoris, or TJ, the Captain General of the Custodes? Right now, he is primed and ready to be painted fairly soon, and since you all know how much I hate painting faces, he gets a helmet. This is because I'm making him look like Kitten from If the Emperor Had Text-to-Speech. So, of course, the feather is going to be painted like Magnus's feather, because...
Mini Magnus, come forth!
Overall, he's a cool unit, but a lot of people would rather take a shield captain instead of him because points efficiency. And I'm kind of seeing that after using him in 4 games, so Kitten goes in high tier. Next is the Walking Blender, that is the Blade Wizard, also known as the Blade Champion. Great unit, so he is in auto include tier because he literally turns any unit he gets into melee with into a smoothie. Not really much anything else to say, honestly. Next, I have a shield captain on jet bike. That was a leftover jet bike I had from my kit bashes I never finished 2 years ago. He's a cool unit and low tier for now, but I'm sure you noticed no face, only helmet, because I suck at painting faces. Also, he get the biggest top knot to differentiate between the other because he the boss. He is magnetized, but let's leave that for the other jet bikes. Next, we have both Valerian and Alea, and I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. Don't even bother using Alea. She is really bad for now. So she honestly goes in don't even bother tier. But Valerian, he's a pretty good HQ choice for only 115 points. But he's about, I would say, on the lower end of high tier for HQ units. Maybe honestly mid tier. Also because for some reason he can't deep strike. I don't know, it's weird. But that's it for all the HQ units that I own for now. But now we move on to the bread and butter of Custodes, the peanut butter and jelly, the milk and cookies, the okay, you get the point, I ran out of analogies. It's the Custodian Guard and Wardens. More specifically, 15, technically 20 guard. 5 of them are going to be Sagittarium, and Sagittarium are honestly for fun at this point for me, and I also still need to buy them, so rule of cool tier for me, but for you, probably low tier, and honestly, don't even bother tier for now. But if you want to magnetize your guard to use swords or spears or the Vexilla, if they ever want to give us back the 10-man brick, let's be honest, they're probably not. use 2x1mm magnets for the arms. Also, if you want all the options, you're gonna need to buy extra shoulder pads off of eBay. I personally like taking at least 1 to 2 4-man squads of guard with at least one guy with a sword and shield, because he's the meat shield as you walk up the board. For wardens, when asked if you should use either axes or spears, "Porque no los dos," but honestly spears. But if you want both, clip off the tops of the spear and glue them onto the axe heads, and congratulations, you now have a halberd. And wardens also auto take Vexilla, by the way. So custodian guard and wardens go in auto buy tier. Next we have the Alaris Terminators, the chunkiest Terminators in Warhammer. For now, T7, 4 wounds, vanish into reserves if they're not within engagement range at the end of your turn. Gets rerolls on everything at this point since they get rerolls on a unit with a character in it. I'm not even joking. Get at least maybe 1 to 2 squads of these boys because they do a lot of work. You can magnetize the spears and axes, but again, same story as the wardens. Porque no los dos. Also, ignore the Vexilla, so Alaris go into auto include tier. Next we have some of my favorite dreadnoughts in 40k, but they're really bad right now. Terrible movement profiles, weird point costs, not too great abilities, and subpar weapon profiles. You get the idea. First we start with the Achilles Dreadnought, very cool contemporary dreadnought. It's just a custodian guard, but a dreadnought. If you want to magnetize him for his head, use 2x1mm magnets. Then his shoulder joints and elbow joints, if you want some pose ability, use 4x2mm magnets. Then if you really want to get crazy, you can slightly shave off some resin on the back of the hands and add another 2x1mm magnet and drill into the hand, and now you can use more hands. Not very high priority on the tier list, more or less low tier, or for me, rule of cool tier, because they're really bad right now. Unless... Wait, let me hold that thought. I will get back to that in a few minutes. Next is the Telemon Dreadnought, and honestly, he isn't as great as the next unit I will mention after my short rant. But the Telemon has its uses, but for its point cost of 235 points, it's not really worth it to use in a game right now. But to magnetize it, just check out this short I made right here a few months ago. Honestly, if it was maybe toughness 12 and had 14 wounds, then I would probably use it more. But at this point, it's just the Custodes Redemptor, which really honestly pisses me off, since in lore they're supposed to be the best dreadnoughts. So it's low tier for you, but honestly rule of cool tier for me because hey, big robot. Next is the Calidus Grab Tank, more specifically the Annihilator variant, and oh boy, when this thing hits, it hits like a truck. If you want to magnetize the turret, use some 6x2mm magnets to make sure they don't go nowhere. And now, you don't have to do this because I honestly have a problem. You can also magnetize the base by clipping off the nub on the clear flight stand and drill into it and drop in 2 6x2mm magnets. And then also put a big chunky 8x4mm magnet right here so you can also paint it more easily. And oh hey, I thought I just had it returned to me. So this is just my speculation, but if you're thinking about getting into Custodes, wait till we get closer to the release date of the Codex, because there's a possibility that the tanks, dreadnoughts, and maybe one other unit are coming to plastic. But as of right now, get 1 or 2 grab tank annihilators, because also I know with every fiber of my being that plastic grab tanks are gotta be a pain in the ass to build. So grab tank annihilator, auto include tier. The other grab tank, probably mid tier. Next is my Veritas Praetors, and don't even bother tier for now. So Veritas Praetors are really bad for the point cost right now and incredibly low tier. But if you want to magnetize the arms because the spears can be a bitch to transport, use 3x1mm magnets. Next we have Sisters of Silence. You can run a Sisters of Silence army, but honestly that's not worth it, both monetarily and also for your sanity, since Sisters are more of a I am filling out this points gap I can't fill with normal Custodes. I have 10 Sisters of Silence, 11 if you count Alea. I built them as Witch Seekers because they sit on the back objective and help screen deep strikes with the tanks. But Sisters are in this weird spot right now because, let's be honest, these are your backfield objective holders, which is why Vigilators are in don't even bother tier, then Witch Seekers and Prosecutors are in low tier. But WYSIWYG is your best friend. But if you really want some Sisters of Silence and need more Custodes, just get the current Combat Patrol, because instead of spending $120 on 10 Sisters, just get the Combat Patrol and you also get 5 guard and 3 bikes. Next are some units I know I'm getting for Christmas, thanks Mom and Pa, and also possibly coming to plastic. It's the VENATARII. Okay, I know that's not how you're supposed to pronounce them, but come on, it literally sounds like something from Italy. So VENATARII are one of the best units Custodes have right now because Custodian Guard if they had a 10-inch movement profile, free rapid ingress, shoot and declare a charge if you fell back. Chef's kiss. Only downside is Forge World. Of course, like half the units on this list. So high tier, almost auto include tier. The final Custodes unit I have that you should only ever get if you want a centerpiece model is the Custodian Dropship. This thing is honestly in don't even bother tier because it's 690 points and also Forge World, so that's going to be very expensive monetarily. And also for that point cost, that's a lot of guard or tanks you could be using. Also, if you want to magnetize it, if you do ever decide you want to burn your wallet, use 3x1mm magnets for the ramp and gun turrets, then 6x2mm and 3x1mm magnets to attach the bottom half of the troop bay to the top half, which I still need to do. But overall, really interesting model. Once again, thank you everyone for funding this purchase that I never thought was going to happen. So for me, rule of cool tier. And that's my tentative tier list for all the Custodes models I own and which ones you should get. Anyways, let's start to wrap things up. A special thank you to all the new channel members since last video. Your support means a lot to me and it allows me to do dumb things like get a large model I never thought I would get or becoming an augtist. But if you have a Discord and are a channel member, join the community Discord to get access to the members only section along with getting updates on the channel and sneak peeks on the things I'm working on or what the next live stream is going to be about. So thank you once again to everyone for watching this video. Don't forget the basic YouTube shtick, like, comment, and subscribe for more adventures and terrible financial decisions. But I will see you all in the next video, and remember, being poor is a choice.